All right. Here we are again, Industrialist. And today we have the Miracle Maker, Casey Miracle. Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
Glad I got you down here. Got you when you were down here. So
appreciate you having me. That's awesome.
Yeah. No. So I've been really excited to do this. I like to think we're very creative at solving real estate deals, but whenever we can't think of something, like, you're the first person we call to be like, how do you solve this?
And sometimes that doesn't get solved.
Hey, some things are unsolvable, right? So, well, everything's solvable if both parties will be reasonable, right?
Yeah,
so, but you're I found you on X, Twitter, and just started following your content, and it's always just extremely creative deal making stuff, which is just right up my alley.
Sure.
Like it's a lot of fun that's where all the fun's had in real estate for me. It's like the art of it, the art of making the deal. And so really excited to hear to just kind of go through your story and hear that, and then hear how you think about things and how you think about the world and real estate. So let's just start from the beginning.
Sure.
Tell me where you're from. Where'd you grow up?
Yeah, I grew up in Springfield, Missouri.
Okay.
I don't know. I've lived there most of my life. I came to Texas for a little bit. Lived in Houston.
What brought you to Houston?
I work for the baseball team there.
Oh, you work for the Astros?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for a minute. Not playing. Let's be clear. but yeah. I don't know. I started out just flipping houses like most people. I think.
Okay, hold on. Back up.
Yeah.
You grew up in Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah.
Where did you go to college?
Went to college at Missouri State University, but I'm so old they used to call it Southwest Missouri State University.
Okay, so is that the conference that plays like Pittsburgh State?
Yes. I think we just became Division I in football.
Okay.
So I mean, Texas. All you really want to know, Texans really want to know is the football team. So most of the time,
sure. Well, that's the only thing we can relate to outside of
we don't fix our roads, but we invest in stadiums.
So, what did you major in college?
Entertainment management.
Entertainment management. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's how you ended up being in the baseball world, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Had to get an internship to graduate. Called every Major League Baseball team until, I don't know, a year or two later, one of them finally said yes.
So, did you grow up loving baseball? Is that a big passion of yours?
Yeah. I don't watch as much baseball as I used to. My cards aren't very good right now. but any sport, I'm usually game.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Sorry.
No.
Continue.
Started buying houses on the courthouse steps in like 09, 10 in Springfield when nobody was on the courthouse steps, and flipped some houses. I don't know. Got into hard money lending and creative financing, and then kind of meandered over to commercial real estate.
Okay, so what led you back to Springfield from Houston?
I don't know if you've ever worked for a Major League Baseball team, but they don't really pay well.
Yeah. The McLeans don't pay very well.
No, Drayton, he's my boy, Sick 'em Bears. Don't throw up in your mouth when you hear that.
Yeah.
I just, they didn't pay hardly anything at all. So I had to trade my tickets for food and rent.
Yeah.
So I never got to sit in my ticket where my tickets were. So,
well, you got to hang out in, was it Edo a lot? They call that area of Houston, Edo, east area of downtown. I guess that's across the freeway from it, but okay, so you get back to Springfield. Did you get your real estate? Did you start off getting your real estate license and then flipping houses? Or did you just go start straight to flipping houses?
Yeah, I got my real estate license about a year ago and failed the test because I don't believe that test actually teaches you real estate.
No, it doesn't. I think the real estate exam is made to think they're protecting the public in a residential real estate transaction.
Yeah, I read through everything and I was like, well, this is a great way. This is the exculpatory way to do real estate.
Yeah. So very similar path. I started flipping houses.
Yeah.
My brother had gotten into commercial.
Yeah.
But we didn't have enough money to buy a commercial building. So we were like, hey, let's start flipping houses. And
I had that same affliction.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, there was a guy that was another broker at Robert Lynn with my brother, this guy named Pete Richardson, and he was buying all these houses on the courthouse steps. So he kind of told us, and then that's when me and my brother bought, or when we were younger, we bought no money down, no down payment. And,
Did you do no money down? Because no money down is hard to do.
I have done it.
Yeah.
I have done it. It is very hard to do.
Yeah.
The Carleton Sheets program, what I kind of looked at it was, it was, for me, it was a great way to think creatively.
Yeah.
He gave you all these stories of like, the no money down might have been like, he gave an example in there where a guy bought a piece of land. Now he had to put money down on it, but he harvested all the trees and got his whole down payment back. So it wasn't like, you're never putting a dime in real estate, but it was like you could have, it was teaching you how to unlock equity out of properties.
Yeah.
And so I always thought that was a very fascinating thing. And that's what, I think that was very, this is a very pivotal thing in helping me like develop my mind on how to like craft a real estate deal,
Well, it just makes you so much more creative. When you don't have money, you better have the smarts to do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so, I had chased a lot of these pre-foreclosures and stuff, and that never really worked for me because I was going there knocking on someone's door.
Yep.
They're 21 days from Judgment Day.
Texas is a good state to do this. Yeah.
And I'm like 22 years old, and they're like, you're not pulling this off. But I mean, I made a lot of really hard cold calls to a lot of people in a lot really hard situations. So that helped, So.
Well, no, but don't you like, I think that helps me tremendously today because those kind of conversations, then if you're dealing with somebody that's losing their house and you can be gentle and caring and they like, and they actually like you, right? Mm-hmm. Then you can probably negotiate just about anything.
Yeah.
I mean, any kind of real estate deal.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, anything's no like and trust factor. But if you can get it that quick, because that's a very short fuse here in Texas.
Yeah.
Like it's, you get 21 days to go time.
Absolutely.
But flipping houses is a great place to learn. My last house that so I never bought any that way. And then what I figured out was that, I don't know if you have We Buy Ugly Houses, Homevestors.
Yeah.
Do you have that? I just figured out they buy so many houses, they can't rehab them all.
Yeah.
So I got in with the franchisee and I would just buy a house off of them. They'd wholesale it to me.
Yeah.
And that worked out pretty good for me. But my last house I bought that I was flipping, I screwed up on it because it had a pool and I thought I would salvage the pool.
Right.
Which don't ever salvage a pool in a house that you might flip. It's just not worth it, most likely. And so I started the salvage process and then I had to demo the pool.
Oh,
so got off budget.
You love that.
Yeah, it was terrible. Got off budget pretty bad. And I got it under contract. And this was 2008, 2000. Yeah, it's probably 2008. I got it under contract and I was up on this cliff. This house is kind of on, there's like this staircasing down area. And I had a transformer in the back of my yard. And this new development was going into like the side of this cliff. Well, they trenched my transformer off.
Oh, no.
And the buyer's like, I'm not closing until this is fixed. And I'm like, this all happened. And this is the same week the first mortgage company failed.
Oh.
And I was like, this is fixing to get really bad. But man, they got it back up over the weekend, fixed it. And I was like, whew.
Thank goodness.
I think I'm going to flip any houses for a while.
Yeah. Now, if they do that, you've got 3-phase power and it's a whole different problem.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. So when you started flipping houses, that's kind of what probably led you to some hard money, right? Because you start getting in those circles and.
Yeah. Well, I just, what led me to hard money is I had I got a wife and a baby on the way and a full-time job. And, I couldn't work 40 hours a week flipping houses and 40 hours a week at my job and pay enough attention to my children.
Yeah.
And my wife.
Yeah.
So something had to give.
Yeah. Yeah. So you do that a lot you still do a lot of hard money loans or?
Yeah. Well, so What I'll say is I don't do nearly as many as I used to. I used to probably be the biggest hard money lender in my town. COVID came, and when rates dropped so quickly, anybody could get a loan at a very cheap rate, and it's very hard to It's very hard to make a solid living if there's no hard money loans to give, right?
Yeah.
Luckily, I still knew how to buy property.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
Yeah.
And, I'm kind of agnostic. I go where I see the puck going, and if it's an opportunity, and I find it worthy of my time, and I'll do it.
Yeah. So. Me and Will, you say the word agnostic. Me and Will walked into somebody's office one day and we're like, "Hey, what do y'all do?" Like we were just making cold calls in an office building. And they were like, they're like, they go, "What do you mean what do you do?" I go, "Well, what do y'all buy?" "What do you mean, what do we buy?" I go, "Well, you agnostic?" He goes, "What do you mean agnostic?" And I was like, "Well, do you buy multifamily and, all this stuff?" He goes, "No, we buy industrial." I was like, "Okay."
I
go, "Well, I have like 1 million square foot portfolio. You could buy it. You want to buy it?" This guy was so thrown off. He didn't understand the word agnostic or being cold called on.
Do you want? Well, I hope that went all right.
No, it didn't. But it was just funny hearing that, and you hear some people say that, and this guy was so thrown off when we said that to him.
I like the cold calls where they are thrown off, because a lot of times you can, you change the dynamic. If you're cold calling for properties, then you'll get somebody on the phone that says, "No, I'm buying properties." Well, can I get? What if I find a deal? Can I bring you a deal?
Yeah.
Are you want to invest in something? Like change it up.
Yeah. No, that's the art of it, right? That's
can't get one thing, try the other.
That's right. So you started flipping houses.
Yeah.
And then did anyone teach you how to start flipping houses, or did you?
No, not really. I just always had the bug. I started flipping houses, and then what did I do after that? I didn't go to right to hard money. Oh, I bought some notes.
Okay.
Secondhand. So because that's a logical progression. Just go from flipping houses to buying like non-performing seconds.
Yeah.
So
you're like, there wasn't enough risk in that. So.
It's a blessing or a lesson. That was definitely a lesson.
Yeah. So you started buying non-performing seconds.
Yeah. So the key to buying non-performing seconds, just if anybody's watching this, the cares is buy many of them, because it's a numbers game. Don't buy one or two, because your number might be up.
Yeah.
So,
so you started buying seconds. Yep. Then you started loaning hard money.
Yeah. Then I started loaning hard money, learning about creative finance of all kinds.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that for a long time, and then kind of got in commercial, I don't know, before COVID. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. So
are you buying, when you're buying all these on your commercial side, is that you'll kind of go anywhere, right? Or,
yeah. I'm scared.
Yeah. I'm scared.
So,
okay. So, I think your specialty is kind of always just crafting a deal, right? And so, what do you see that takes between a buyer and seller? Like, well, what is, when you're trying to buy something, what are you trying to do to figure out what that seller really needs?
I just want to, so this is hard. Like, listening is the most important thing, right? I just want to hear what they want, right? And then I want to figure out as quickly as possible, can I provide that? If the only thing they want is a high cash price, I know that this seller isn't for me, or that they aren't really a seller.
Yeah.
So determining that quickly is important. And then, from there, I want to figure out what the most important things in the deal is. Like, I've had a lot of transactions over the year where price wasn't the most important thing in the deal. So, if that's the case, then, how do I give them what they want in the transaction and still have something for myself, really?
So when you can determine from someone that price isn't the most important thing, what are some scenarios that you've seen that was the important thing in the situation that you could solve for?
Yeah, well, like an owner that's about to get foreclosed on, price isn't the most important thing to them. They just need their loan paid off, right? If they want to save their loan, right? Or somebody needs, in that scenario, they may not even need their loan paid off. They may just need it caught up, right? Or closing might be the most important thing to them. Or the most, like, you get somebody with raw land, right? All they do is spend money as far as taxes go and insurance and maybe upkeep and maintenance on that land. They may not care about price as much. They might just want they might want terms. They might want income for once in their life.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a million things. So I just try to sit there and listen. And if they said, I equate it to like my junior high gym class, right? So we used to have like our teacher, our coach would say, hey, there's 2 captains and each captain needs to take a pick, right? Like you get first pick, you get second pick. Okay. Well, I usually give the other side the first 2 picks. I mean, maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
But if I give them the first 2 or 3 picks, I want the rest of the picks. You know? So I've got to have at least 1 or 2 things that is favorable for me. So, and it's not always, it's not always price. So
yeah. Do you seem to get is owner financing something you typically try to go for, or is that just depending on how the conversation goes?
I go for it if I think their situation makes sense for it, or they tell me about it. I go for it if I think that they would be a good candidate. Well, if they would be a good candidate, or if I don't know the situation, I'll ask, right? I always ask.
Yeah.
But I love owner financing, seller financing.
Yeah, I think I would say probably 6 or 7 of our last 10 deals we got owner financing on.
Yeah. Which is amazing.
Man, it was, I just created a template that goes with our LOI that explains all the benefits to the seller.
Yeah.
And when we buy a building too, we're putting 35, 40% down.
Yeah.
So it's like a real,
Yeah.
I've had, I have a property I own listed right now. And people are like, hey, would you owner finance it? I'm like, sure. Yeah. Send me terms, but they're going to want it 5% down.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
Well, so in 2020, you couldn't get terms on anything. In 2025, you can. What I like to say to people is, hey, if you're talking to a broker, right, and the broker's got 3 other offers, they're probably not going to take yours.
Right.
If you're the only offer, right, and you say to them, hey, what if I brought you a monster down payment?
Yeah.
Well, what would that look like? 20, 30, 40% down.
Yeah.
Would that be all right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, if there's a broker involved and you're trying to buy something owner finance down, you need to calculate that the broker gets paid and the owner walks with some money. Because I've seen it where the offers come up and it's like, well, the broker gets all the money, the down payment. Like
it doesn't make any sense.
That won't make any sense.
Yeah, you gotta pay the people that need to be incentivized.
Yeah.
So
do you when you're sourcing your deals, do you source through brokers or do you just try to self-source for the most part, or both? Or
so I used to be totally direct to seller.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like I'm both. I don't look for off-market deals nearly like I used to, but I get a fair amount of off-market deals come my way just because I'm older than I used to be. So more people know me, and it's nice of them to come to me. So.
Yeah. Once you've been around the block a while, people, they've seen you perform.
Well, I'm sure you've had that happen. You buy something from a broker, you perform in a deal, right? And that owner or that broker remembers how you treated them, and it's it's a lot easier to do a deal with them or a friend or a client of theirs than it was previously.
Right.
So.
Yeah. No, reps matter. So.
Oh man, reps matter. That's what it's all about. Too bad they got to be old before the reps really, like, gosh, I couldn't have reps at 20.
Yeah, right. Be done.
Oh, yeah.
So we, last year we made Will was like, hey, I really want to go start buying in Houston. When the shop he was at before here, Houston was his territory.
Right.
And I was like, I'm not a fan of Houston.
Yeah.
I'm not. It's just,
when you go to Houston in August, let's say, you get in the morning, you get ready, you go outside, you take a shower, you go outside, and it's August. Mm-hmm. And in Houston, you're immediately just drenching in sweat 5 seconds after you step outside.
Dude, it's unreal.
It's unbelievable.
So Isabella's dad and my brother are best friends because they played football at Rice together.
Oh, okay.
And
I used to live in Rice Village.
Okay, there you go. So my brother said the first day he walked down onto the practice field in August and he saw just the heat wave coming off the turf. He was like, did I make the right decision?
Yeah. I don't know.
So, but Will and I, Will was really, gung-ho, Houston.
Sure.
Let's go. And I was like, okay, I'll go down there with you. So we go down there, meet with a lot of brokerages, kind of get a lay of the land. Because, Houston's a fragmented market. It's, the no zoning thing really breaks things up. It's not.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We go through the whole first round of it. And I was like, hey, man, you're going to have to go down there a lot,
Yeah.
And so everybody starts sending us stuff.
Yeah.
They're sending us CoStar. And I'm like,
yeah.
Ugh. I was like, see, man, they're trying to get you to buy it on CoStar first. I go, you got to go down.
They got to feel them out.
Yeah, they're trying to fill us out. Hey, I totally get it. I would too, right?
Yeah.
I would not put you don't get the real good ones till you prove yourself up. So,
no like and trust.
No like and trust, right? Yeah. And so it's funny. I finally came to the conclusion. I was like, do you still want to keep working in Houston? And he was like, I don't know. I was like, you got to go there twice a month.
Yeah, and that's 4 hours?
Yeah. And, I said, and Houston's big enough where I was like, we should, if we want to do Houston, we should just hire a guy down there.
Yeah.
You're going to need someone full time down there living in it. But the point I was trying to get back to is just, you have to I was asking, it's hard. I see these larger groups, that are based in Chicago or something, and they fly to Dallas and they buy the deal after someone like us touched it. You know what I mean? And
well, what's funny about that is I don't even think it's after that, right? So you probably know about the deal probably earlier than everybody else, right? Mm-hmm. And then the retail people in Houston on those brokers' lists find out about them. And then the people from Chicago find out about them, So,
yeah. No, you have to be entrenched and really good in your market, I think, to get that kind of proprietary. Proprietary deal flow is pretty huge. It's a pretty huge calling card.
It's everything.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a sicko like me, I might say to them, hey, if you got a problem property or something you can't sell or something that's grossly overpriced, broker, could I solve your problem? You've had this on the market for 6 months. It's not moving. Let's go talk about that. Now, I might be stupid enough to buy something at a price that those Chicago guys would pay.
Yeah. No, it's I reference these Chicago guys because I sold these Chicago guys a building, and I was just like, it was interesting because they're a big institutional group.
Yeah.
And I was at dinner with them. I go, how do you feel like you'll ever be any good at Dallas when you don't even have an office here? Yeah. This is 1.2 billion feet.
That's insane.
I mean, how are you going to be effective? And he's like,
their money's cheaper.
Their money is cheaper. That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Their money's cheaper, so deals can work a little differently for them.
Yeah.
I think to their point, they were just like, we just got to put money out, and so I was like,
I wish somebody would just come to me and say, I need to put money out and want a low cap rate. Like, why don't people just contact me about that? I'm sure you'd love the same. Right?
Oh, dude. So I've been on this kick for the last 12 months where I've seen these marketed portfolios.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is actually where the deals are at right now.
Yeah.
And here's my whole theory behind this.
Okay.
I'm going to give you an example. There was a Link portfolio, Blackstone, that sold here in Dallas.
Okay.
Probably 60 days ago.
Okay.
It's 1.3 million feet of product, like 13 buildings.
Jeez.
And I was telling anybody that listened to me, I was like, we need to buy this. Okay. I need to buy this. I need to buy this. I need to buy this. I just need 65, 70 million in equity. Like, that's all I need. And,
well, you live here, so that's easier for you to do. Like, I would say like 600,000 in equity where in the little burg I'm in.
And so, but my whole point is this: over the and this specifically in industrial, but I mean, this could go across most assets of real estate. Over the last, from COVID, to, that little run, late 2020, 21, 22, I mean, it was on fire.
Yeah.
And,
especially here.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah.
And so what happened at that point too, was so many people would walk into single building owner guy and be like, hey, here's an offer for $150 a foot. Oh, then another guy walks in. Here's an offer for 160. Here's an offer for 107. Like, just offer, right? And all these offers are laying on this guy's table. And so you get a couple more years down the road, you hit 2023, things start locking up about March, right?
Yeah.
Interest rates start rising. And this single owner still has all these offers sitting on his desk. He never did anything.
Yeah.
He sees the headlines.
Yeah.
He knows things are probably going in the other direction.
Yeah.
But he sees this piece of paper, but he never looks at the date that it came in, right?
Yeah.
He just omits
looks at the number.
Looks at the number.
Yeah.
And so you start going in and being like, hey, we'll pay you 130 a foot for this.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll pay you 120 a foot. And he's like, oh, it's worth 200 a foot, So there became a big inefficiency with...
let's call them.
They're probably...
Let's call them right now.
They're probably ripe now, right?
Yeah. If you can get that from them now, then let's call them.
Yeah.
They won't do that in front of you.
No.
Yeah.
And that's the trick, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah, let's watch it. Like,
yeah, let's get this sold today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that market has locked up a lot, I think, on trying to buy those off market single purchase deals. The larger big and the reason it's locked up is because of the inefficiency in the capital markets lately.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you go
capital market.
Yeah. There you go. So then you go over to the other side of the table though, and you say institutions, right?
Yep.
KKRs of the world,
Yep.
the Blackstones.
Yep.
They have redemptions.
Yeah.
They have to sell. They have to sell.
Yeah.
So they have to price these things at a point where there's a little meat left. There's some meat left on the bone for somebody. So like this Link portfolio, right? I think you buy it going in at it's probably like going at about a 5 3/4 yield on cost. Okay. But your basis and it probably had a 3.5-year WALT across the portfolio.
Okay.
But the basis on the buildings was like 107 a foot. But those buildings would sell to a user for 150.
Yeah.
Anywhere from 130, depending on where it was located, to 180 a foot, depending on what's located.
What could you build them for?
You'd probably be in at 180 a foot.
Okay.
So like, that's where I'm like, there is like, this is a low cap rate, but hear me out. Like, let's think about this in 10 years, Well,
do you just buy and hold, or do you buy and sell?
I buy and just, I don't know.
See, I would do, so how many buildings was it?
This was like 13 buildings.
Yeah. So I would, I'd try to lock it up but I'd have in there that I could market that for sale. I just try to sell off. I love portfolios because, a lot of times you can split them up or put them together and you can make more either way. Right? Yeah. And so, hey, let me try to sell some of these off in DD.
Yeah.
I might get a building for free. Yeah. I like the idea of getting a building for free.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Yeah. I call it the buy the pound, sell the ounce theory.
Absolutely.
It's like real estate drug dealing 101.
Oh man, that's great. Yeah.
But no, that's where I've seen so now, we have some pretty good programmatic JVs on industrial and stuff like that. Some really good capital partners.
Sure.
But I don't have that capital partner. Right. So when people come to us now, I'm like, hey, we want to get an industrial with you. I'm like, okay, here's the option I got. Can you write a check like this?
Yeah. Maybe somebody will see this and then they'll be like, yeah, it's time.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I just hope I don't miss. I think there's a window on this, right? But,
Yeah.
So we'll see. Okay. So interest rates.
Yeah. They're going up, going down, or staying the same. One of three things is going to happen.
One or three things are going to happen.
Yeah. Those dramas.
Yeah.
Really good.
So, I think a lot of people right now are getting that don't completely understand the real estate game are getting mixed signals because of the Fed funds rate is dropping, right?
Yeah.
Or prime's dropping.
Yeah.
But the 10-year is ripping.
Yeah.
So
life is good for me when the 10-year is ripping.
It doesn't bother me one bit.
No.
I feel like it gets some kids off the street.
Oh, yeah. Like the reckoning is here, I would say.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the beginning of the reckoning. I don't root for anybody to lose their job or anything else, but, I don't know. And COVID, had all these kids telling me I'd never make a deal again. And I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they still in real estate?
No, they're not. Well, some of them are, but
yeah.
The smart ones, they figure it out. It's just the tide is out. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, why don't you walk me through one of your most creative deals you think you've ever pulled off?
Oh, geez. Here's a deal I pitched this morning in our exchange meeting.
Okay.
So there was a guy that had his note was being called in pretty soon on a commercial building.
Mm-hmm.
It was $3 million, something like that, right? And he's got a month left, and he doesn't have the cash. I think it's vacant, and so they're not going to refi him, and he doesn't have the money to put into a refi to get himself there, right? So he's got to sell. He's a distressed seller, and he's only got a month left. So who knows, right? And so,
is he personally guaranteed on the note?
It's personally guaranteed on the note. It's it's bad news, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is an asset class that we'll just say isn't favorable right now.
Sure.
And so that's not helping the situation, right? And notes with a local bank, but the property does have some kind of value. We just who knows what it is, right? Yeah. He's a broker. He's just trying to get somebody to pay enough money to get this guy out of his loan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like coming out of my pocket when I don't have to. I've got a sickness, and so
T-Rex.
But arms. At least I'm transparent, and so I don't really love paying for anything when I don't have to. In fact, I don't know if you have the same sickness, but I love to get paid at closing when I buy.
Yeah.
And so...
was that no money down?
Well, no, it's better than no money down.
Okay, because you got paid.
Well, I just, I like Carlton. I've never read his stuff, but I've heard a lot about him. But, if you can do better, why not do better? So I said to the gentleman, I said, hey, listen, I've got a note on another building. Or I've got a portfolio of notes. I'll look at my portfolio. I will trade that bank a note that either I have in my portfolio or that I can go source because I've got friends, right? Mm-hmm. or that we're close on originating that we're about to finalize. That's got a heavy signer. So bank would be happy, right? But, my note isn't going to match your building exactly, right? Mm-hmm. So if what I find you is lower, I'll bring you the cash for the difference. Okay. Banker, broker, are you okay with that? Yeah. Okay. But if my note is higher, I think you should have to bring me cash for the difference. Isn't that fair? Yes. Okay. Well, mine's higher.
Okay.
So I say, hey, I'll trade you my note. And then my note's, let's say $7 million, right? But it's on soft terms because maybe it was originated in 2021, right? Softer terms than there are now, right? But you are getting collateral on a better property. You're getting a better signer, and you're getting somebody that can pay.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's, mine's performing. Yours is about to be non-performing.
Yeah.
Okay. So we trade. They'd give me the extra $4 million. We trade notes. That's basically how I buy the building, right?
Okay.
But now I've got an extra $4 million. So I can go buy something else if I want to, and maybe that pays down some of that debt service, or maybe I pay off another note, whatever.
Yeah.
So you can go beyond no money down. You can go negative, which is positive, and that's all I'm saying. You got to have somebody that'll play ball. But the bank's happy because they get a signer that's heavier. They get somebody that's paying. They get on a better asset, right? That's not that's a favored asset instead of an unfavored asset, right?
Yeah.
Broker gets paid, which is great. Jeremy gets $4 million in his pocket, which ain't bad.
No, is that taxable?
Well,
I guess your note's probably post-tax dollars already. So
yeah, I think it would be taxable. I was just making an offer in this, but check with your CPA because I think that would be taxable since you're receiving those funds.
Yeah.
So, now if you really want to get not taxable, you could say, hey, I'm not going to take constructive receipt of that. Bank, go buy me something and we'll put the note on that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. What? So you'd rather, so that made more sense for you to make that offer versus saying, I'll trade you $2.5 million worth of notes, of performing notes for your $3 million note, and essentially buying at a discount.
Well, so I would love to buy notes at a discount, but I don't feel like in this cycle yet that banks are willing to provide a big enough discount to where I can get a yield that I think is healthy and safe.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to listen to the other side. The other side is saying, I don't know if you've talked to banks lately about getting a discount, but most of them, maybe you can get a little bit of a discount, but by and large, they're not saying, hey, I'm going to give you 30% plus off right now, right?
Yeah, they're not.
Okay.
They're not.
And so I listen to the other side. Okay, well, if you won't take a discount, don't tell me what you won't do. Tell me what you will do. Okay. What if I brought you another note? Would you trade?
Yeah.
So,
that's interesting. I never thought about trading notes.
Yeah. Well, Carlton just didn't go far enough.
He didn't.
Yeah. I know.
I know. You failed me, Carlton.
No.
You only got me
good.
So far.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk to me about note buying though, because I've never bought a note.
Okay.
I've created a bunch of them, but I've never purchased one.
I don't buy. I've bought, I don't know, a handful over the years, but I don't buy a lot of mine either. I'm creating them. I'll trade for them. I'll create them. I'll find them, but I don't create a lot of notes.
Okay.
Some if need be, but that is a vehicle. Like, let's go back to the land play, right? Somebody's got land that's been sitting forever. You can't move it. It's costing you money. okay, well, if I was a landowner, I would think about, instead of, just expense of paying, I would think, okay, well, maybe I should create a note on my land and go trade that note and maybe some cash, or maybe just the note, for some income producing property. Well, if you got income producing property, then that might pay for the taxes and insurance and, the upkeep on the land.
Yeah. So, no, I've just heard of people like buying house notes, I guess, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guess they go buy them at a discount. Someone's like, you can go buy a package of them.
Yeah, but so the problem is if you're selling a note, you're to someone that's savvy, you're going to have to take a discount, most likely.
Yeah.
And now you can sometimes sell a note to somebody that's not super savvy, if the numbers are small enough, and sell it for par. But I don't know. But blending equity and debt is that's amazing. It's the best thing ever.
We love it. I mean, that's why we started our debt fund.
Yeah.
We're like, so taking us back to Houston, right?
Yep.
So we got called about an asset in Houston.
Right.
And Will just happened to be down there 2 weeks ago or something.
Sure.
He goes and looks at it, brings it in here. He's like, man, I think we should buy this one. It's going to be our first deal in Houston. I was like, it's like a $2.2 million deal. And I was like, man, that's a good size deal, but I'd rather just do that in Dallas. I just, the bandwidth of the team and going down there and doing that stuff, I'd rather just be a bigger number if we're going to go do something down there. And this had came to us for us to JV it with them.
Okay.
And so
your part was $2 million?
No. The total capitalization was 2.25. And but this guy didn't really have the equity raised, and didn't he needed a partner on it, and he was more absentee geographically than we would have been. Right. So I killed it. I was like, I don't want to do this.
Sure.
Let's just focus on our markets. And so, but now it's come back to us, and we're issuing a term sheet to be a bridge lender on it instead. Which I'm like, oh, this is great. They're like, would you loan on it? I was like, yeah. I don't even know why I didn't tell you I'd loan on it. I just dismissed it and moved on. But I thought you had a bank line.
Were they giving you a discount though?
No, but they wanted to JV it there, so it wasn't like really a transaction.
Oh, okay.
They'd already had it. This group had it tied up. They couldn't capitalize it.
Right.
Brought us in to see if we could help them capitalize it and JV with them.
But they were buying from somebody else.
They were buying from somebody else.
But were they getting a discount?
Yeah, I think they've worked a couple $100,000 off the price. So, but they're already firm on their earnest money. So, it's kind of lost your negotiation leg there. Yeah. And but we're putting the debt out on it now. So we're going to put out, I think, you need the purchase price is 2.25. You need about another $500,000 in the tank to
go do something,
weather it and all that stuff. So we're going to do like a $1.9 million loan for them. Okay. So my thought when we created the debt fund, I was like, man, I think if we do the debt fund, we'll see deals from both sides.
Have you told the people what's rates on debt fund? What blows up your skirt?
We're going to be like 12.5% to 13%.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we have a line that we back lever underneath with it.
Sure.
So we're loaning that line out, and that gets pretty powerful. That's
absolutely.
I stumbled into that.
Yeah. How do you stumble into that?
Well, here's how it happened. I had a listing.
Okay.
And we were on the market, 20,000 foot building, 20,000 foot industrial building.
Okay.
And guy wanted to sell it for 1.7. Kind of always felt it was a little high. I was like, look, man, we're probably really like 1.6 on this, but let's put it out there. And so we put it out there. Didn't really have any offers, but then we got an offer, full price,
right?
600,000 down.
Okay.
And mind you, this is 2019.
Okay.
So interest rates are 4%.
Yeah.
600,000 down.
Yeah.
Owner financing, 8% interest.
Okay.
He goes, I don't want to do that. I was like, you should do this. You should totally do this.
Okay.
He didn't want to do it. I mean, I just couldn't convince him to do it. And what was crazy to me was he was like, man, this was kind of like his retirement because he had his company too. I ended up selling his company for him as well.
Oh, wow.
And I moved him down the street to another building, same street.
I like this guy already, right?
And, but he was like, man, this is kind of my retirement, so I'd lease it. So when I got the owner finance offer, I go, this is like a 10-year lease, like paid in advance.
Yeah.
Like, you should do this.
Right.
I couldn't get him to do it.
And?
So I go, 1.6? He goes, yeah, I take 1.6. Someone pay cash. I go, here you go. I'll do it. So I bought it for 1.6.
Right.
I assigned it to the owner finance buyer.
Right.
I went and got, so we're at 1.7.
Yep.
So I'm at 1.1 that I need a loan for.
Yep.
So I got a loan for like 800 and put 300,000 down on it. So I got a loan at 800,000. I went to my banker that I had a relationship. I was like, hey man, can I do something with this? He goes, yeah, we can do a note-to-note financing. I was like, oh, okay. So I borrowed the 800.
So your bank's got to be pretty savvy to do that. Most aren't.
This banker's really sharp.
Sure.
It's really props out to J.K. Walker, Third Coast Bank. He's been my dog for 20 plus
JK,
years. Yeah.
You better answer the phone when I call you.
Yeah. And so I lent that 800 out at 8%, making 4 points of spread, and my 300 out at 8. It was like a blended 20% return.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And
just wrap.
So, anyways, it's a 5-year note.
Yeah.
Well, it was coming up.
Yep.
I called my borrower. Me and there's a group here in town, really big operator.
I feel like I know what's coming.
So version 2.0.
Yeah.
And so
ask me how I know.
So me and it's utterly amazing. It was me and another guy that owned this note, and he's a big operator here in town.
Sure.
Owns tons of buildings, but me and him just owned it. And I called the borrower and I was like, hey man, you got a year before this comes up.
Yep.
Your building is worth low 3s now.
Yeah.
Like you got some really good equity, man. You should be able to get a really good loan.
Yeah.
I even shopped his loan for him.
Yeah.
I got him like low 6s for user debt.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, look, man, this is lower than what you're paying now in an interest rate environment that has doubled.
Yeah.
I was like, you need to get this done. His books were so screwed up.
Couldn't get it done.
Yeah. And so I had to refi him again. And so our fund bought me and my partner out and refied it. And the bank just redid their note underneath.
Okay.
And kept rolling. But I charged him a whole new set of points going in to refi it. And I got him a bookkeeper and everything. I was like, hey, look, I have this bank over here that's going to take you out low 6s.
Yeah.
They need you to get your books together.
Yeah.
You can get this done in 6 months.
Yeah.
Found him a great bookkeeper. Just keeps paying me. So he's at 12% now. Paid me 3 points in. And now what's great about the points is
get that up front.
But the points are on the total loan value.
Yeah.
Well, my equity in the deal isn't equivalent to that.
Yeah.
So I'm almost like, I think I'm at 80. I'm at 20% equity in the deal. So 3 points on 20%.
So this could happen again.
Yes. I think it's going to happen again.
Can I maybe make a suggestion?
Yes.
How do you feel about shared appreciation loans?
You're going to have to explain that to me to get my opinion on it.
So you've done this over and over again.
Okay.
And this person doesn't seem to have the capacity or the wherewithal to do this, right? Mm-hmm. And so a shared appreciation loan is essentially you're capturing the appreciation in the loan, right? Mm-hmm. So as the property gains value, right? Or as time goes on, you're getting a share of the equity.
That would be awesome if they would do that.
Well, I think maybe you say to them next time, hey, we're not going to do this again unless we do that.
Yeah. Well, that works too.
I mean, he'll either have the motivation to go get you paid out.
Yeah.
Or no problem.
Yeah.
I'll keep rolling with you. Yeah. But your equity will diminish as time goes on.
Yeah.
You didn't call me.
You're the Sherpa.
You didn't call me.
Taking me up the mountain. Just taking me to the promised land.
Yeah. Those are really good to do in a retirement account if you can.
That's what, I have my retirement account in a couple deals, but, I'm just a LP in a deal with it. So, but you can use that just to straight loan money out of, right? That's what a lot of people do that.
Well, and what you could do, if you wanted to get a little freaky, is you could give them 2 loans, right? And make one loan the loan that you've kind of been giving them, right? And then in your retirement account with less money in second position, do the shared appreciation, right?
Yeah.
Well, shared appreciation in second position, it's a riskier loan, which should be paid more.
But if I'm first position, how risky is second position?
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Depends on.
I don't think, I wouldn't sell it is what I'll tell you.
Yeah.
No.
What I did pull off though one time is I had a building in the design district down in Dallas that came to me. Guy needed a working capital loan.
Yeah.
And I used to own an operating company. I used to own a steel company.
Right.
And I got in a real bad spot. And I knew when I asked actually the guy down the hallway from us here who loans distressed businesses money, and he loaned me some money. And, how much do you need? And I was like, I just need $300,000. That's all I need. I get through this. Like, okay, you need $600,000.
Right.
Like, okay. So that I go meet with this guy this is after I've gone through my cycle with my loan with him. We righted the ship, sold the company, got out of it, learned a shitload from that.
Right.
And, the guy's like, I need $150,000 in working capital. I go, you need $300,000. You always need more than you need.
Right.
So we gave him, me and the same other guy that we did the other loan with, me and him, I was like, hey, I found this other loan. Like, we got to do this loan.
Sure.
And we gave him $300,000 as a second because he had tons of equity in his real estate.
Yeah.
And then I started digging into his first lien.
Yeah. And
this was about 2019. I was like, you're paying 10% interest on a first lien?
That's crazy.
I was like,
how much was the first?
It was, well, I can't remember what the amount was, but it was equivalent to about $70 a foot. It's 25,000 foot building, right?
Yep.
And the building was probably worth 130 a foot.
Okay.
So there's a pretty good chunk of equity in there.
Right.
So I told him, I said, listen, I'll take our $300,000 and we're going to attach as a second at 10%.
Yep.
But then me and my partner are going to go get you a new note.
Yeah.
At 4%.
Yep.
And we're going to sign the guarantee with you.
Yep.
Well, you'll get to use our balance sheet. We'll get you a 4% note and get this payment down. Like, we cut his payment half. Almost,
right. Which he loved.
Loved it. Yeah. And I said, we'll create a partnership.
Yep.
And your rent for the building will be the cost of the note. And for that, we'll cash out our $300 when we do this, and we'll own 30% of the building.
Yeah.
And
have a buy sell. So if you want to, you can.
Yeah.
You can buy each other out. Yeah.
Well, we sold it in 23.
Oh.
And man, we crushed it.
Yeah.
We crushed it.
It's amazing how that works.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a really good deal. So that's kind of a big initiative for me this year. For our debt fund side is like, let's go find some more working capital loans.
Sure.
For some business owners, because I've always found business owners are the one really good decision they made was they bought their building.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that's where all their equity is.
Yeah. Sometimes the business isn't worth anything. I mean, sometimes the business is worth 10x, and then sometimes it's not worth anything.
I think
a lot of times it's more.
It's like the latter. Yeah. It's
not. It's not nearly as valuable as the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, the debt side. So, where I was really going with this, the debt and equity side.
Yeah.
as you were saying, when you start mixing them together,
it's like a symphony.
It is. Yeah. It's awesome. So what like where do you remember the deal you did that made that intersection that you're like, oh, this is my path?
Yeah, it's a house on Brentwood Street.
Okay.
So gosh, it's been a minute though, because I'm old and forgetful. But sitting there negotiating a house deal with the seller that had held this house in a nice neighborhood for a long time. It was a nice house, and she wanted to sell her finance, and I said, okay, well, we agreed kind of on the terms, and we negotiated the note terms, and I can't remember what percent it was. Let's say it's 5%. And I said, hey, if I could pay you 20% more, 6% on the same terms, would that interest you? And she said, yes. Well, I said, okay, well, I think I can pay you 6%. And I've got a note that's about 10 grand more than we negotiated. Would you be mad if I just gave you an extra 10 grand and paid you an extra, point on your loan? She said, no. I said, well, she's like, well, what's the catch? I said, it's a note in my portfolio. Well, what I didn't tell her, but really wasn't a detail that she needed to know, was I bought that note for something like 15 cents on the dollar. I got that note reperforming, and it had been reperforming ever since a month after I bought it. So it had a long track record, right?
Yeah.
I really didn't ask her for hardly any discount on the house, but I think I bought the house for something like 50 cents on the dollar. So when you blend debt and equity, you can, Jeremy, you can't go buy a warehouse for half off.
No.
But if you blend debt and equity, you might be able to.
Yeah.
If I come to you and say, hey, your $10 million building, I want to buy for $5 million. You say, scram, get lost. And you might say more than that. Right. Mm-hmm. But if I came to you and said, hey, I'll give you your full 10 with a note that you don't know that I bought for $5 million.
Yeah.
You're feeling good about it and I'm feeling good about it because, you're probably selling at a 4 cap in DFW.
Yeah. Right.
But I'm laughing all the way to the bank.
Sure. Well, you found...
But it doesn't matter. So long as both sides are happy with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Well, that's what you made. You made your note a liquid market. You made a market for your note, right? By finding the other asset to take it to.
Well, what's funny about notes is like I said earlier, if you're selling a note to a note buyer, you're going to have to take a discount. Mm-hmm. But many times when you trade a note, most times, almost all the time, when you trade a note, you're getting to trade at par.
Yeah.
There's a valuable lesson to be learned there.
Yeah. So on non-performing notes, when you buy them, what do you do to go get them performing? Call the borrower?
I mean, you can call. I feel like, the little course I took way back when, they said, call, start foreclosure simultaneously, right? Mm-hmm. I think the school of thought on that is changed. I think you start foreclosure immediately, and then them calling you is better than you calling them.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Do they usually call, or do they just...
Sometimes, not always.
Yeah, sometimes they just...
But, I was always somebody to try to work it out with them because, if you're buying for 50 cents on the dollar or less, you've got room to negotiate.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get you caught up. Let's figure out what payments are good for you. Let's figure out what you can afford. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't always have to be a bad guy. Oftentimes you have to start foreclosure for them to come to the table. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
How do you source non-performing notes? Call a bunch of banks?
I mean, how do you source non-performing notes? Yeah, I mean, you could call a bunch of banks. You could just look at county records. I mean, there's notice of default. It depends on what state you're in. Notice of defaults. There's list pendants. There's all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you could go there. I mean, you can look at CoStar for when people's notes are coming up.
They're pretty bad at that.
Oh, they're awful. You could look at Reonomy.
Yeah. I use Reonomy a lot.
Reonomy's dead is much better than anybody else's, I feel like.
Yeah.
So shout out to Reonomy. Yep. You guys should probably pay me instead of me paying you.
That's right.
Yeah. Just FYI. Yeah.
I canceled my subscription to Reonomy.
Yeah.
They just never quit charging me.
Yeah.
And never turned it off. So I'd still use it. I mean, so we use Reonomy on every, I look at, that's how I'm the only one that really uses Reonomy here. Right. Everybody else, they'll use it if they need to. But like me, we'll be looking at a deal and I'm like, where's his note at?
Yeah. I look at the debt hardly before I look at the property.
Yeah. That's what.
Because I'm a sicko.
Yeah. Well, that's what you're profiling, right?
I am. I'm profiling. But like, I don't want to do a deal unless I have an edge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's, And
it's not like I'm trying to use that like in a harmful way, but I want to have an advantage if I can have an advantage. And knowing somebody's debt is pretty advantageous to knowing what they'll do in a deal,
Well, it's like a loan maturity is like a lease expiration.
Yeah.
When I go back to my tenant rep days.
Yeah.
There's a fuse lit.
Yeah.
And a decision will be made. And a lot of major decisions are made around maturities.
Yeah.
It could be, I don't want to sign up for another 5 years of this,
Yeah.
and I don't want to be in business anymore. So it is time,
Well, I'm in a deal with a partner right now, and we got a loan coming up in a year. He's like, Casey, I don't really want to refi. Should we sell? I said, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There it is.
Whatever. We're on good terms. We're on great terms. It's just, all right. You get good partners. You just go along with them.
Yeah. No, it's, but that's something I always profile. That's exactly what I do. I go straight to Reonomy. I look at it and be like, okay. It
doesn't always tell you something. I mean, if their loan isn't coming up or if they don't own a ton or, if it's on foreclosure, that doesn't, you have no idea. Yeah. But it just helps paint a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then, it helps me too on the owner finance side because if it's closer to maturity, I got to think it's paid down quite a bit.
Yep.
So,
it's been long enough. Yeah.
It's been long enough that factors in my down payment that, could cover the brokerage fees, cover the payoff, and he walks with cash. And so that's how I usually try to profile it out on there.
Sure.
And I'll tell you what too, whenever you call an owner directly, you're like, hey man, I was just calling you, because your note on your building's up in 18 months. You kind of thought about what you're doing. And they're like, how'd you know that?
Man, I've got yelled out for that more than once.
Magic.
I'm like, it's on the internet.
Yeah, it's on the internet.
Usually that solves it. I pay for this software. It's on the internet. No, not everybody has this information. So you'd be all right.
Well, was there any like specific setback in your life that taught you something pretty interesting that made you?
Yeah, I used to gamble for a living and now I don't. Which, it doesn't matter if you're smart or not. Yeah.
So where was your gambling for a living at between the Houston Astros and flipping houses?
Yeah, right in between.
It was right in between.
Yeah.
So were you a professional gambler in Springfield?
No, I used to go to Vegas like once or twice a month.
Oh, so
yeah. It's
and you were a poker player, right?
Yes. Don't do it, kids. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
That was a lot of people got into that real hard.
No, they did, and I was a sucker just like everybody. Now listen, you can make money in it, but like I felt like I have a pretty good idea of mathematics and finance and when to place bets and when to not place bets and tells and reading between the lines. I feel like a lot of that translates to real estate, but now you'd beat me up in a poker game. I haven't played in a decade.
I've always said that commercial real estate is like building a puzzle while playing checkers, chess, and poker all at the same time.
Yeah.
Like you stack, if you had like a sandwich of those game boards all on top of it, that's commercial real estate in my mind.
Absolutely. That's a good analogy. I like that.
What did you learn from poker though that you like? What was your biggest key takeaway from playing poker? That
just body language.
Yeah.
I mean, it's way easier to read in real estate than it was in poker. But I mean, there's just what people don't say is more important than what they do a lot of times.
Yeah.
So
you're just looking for that nuance.
Yeah.
In their body movement.
Somebody hesitating, somebody sighing.
Yeah.
What about your loan? Well, like there's something there. Now, can you drill deep and can you keep going with that? Maybe, maybe not. Just depends on the person.
Yeah.
But you just got some information.
Yeah.
So
just cracking it open, feeling that onion back.
What about your tenant? Well, like that tells you there's something going on there. What is going on there?
Yeah.
Why did you hesitate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've had some awful tenants. I had a guy take me for, $20,000 recently. And then you start telling your bad stuff. Then a lot of times they'll start telling their bad stuff, right?
Yeah.
You ever have anybody like that? Is this guy like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You become relatable then all of a sudden.
Well, yeah, I've been kicked in the teeth enough. Yeah. So absolutely. Don't hit me again.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh, geez. I don't know. Just treat people how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
So I've gotten a ton of advice, and I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that question. That's probably not the right answer, but just be a good human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're pretty active on X.
Yeah. Not the drug, the social media.
I'm trying to
call it. It's kind of like a drug.
I want to call it Twitter. I just want to keep calling it Twitter.
So do I.
So we'll just call it Twitter.
Okay.
We said X.
Yeah.
When did you start getting pretty active on there?
COVID, I'm sitting in my basement. The basement is something that they don't have in Texas, but they dig below the ground. And so I'm sitting in my basement and everybody's talking about, different facets of real estate. I'm like, nobody talks about real estate finance and structure.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I should do that. And my mentor, he passed away last week. But he said, he told me years ago, he's like, hey, Casey, listen, you've got it, but do me a favor. If you do anything for me, do me this, pass it on.
Yeah.
So if you like weird and perverse real estate, debt and equity and structuring ideas, then, I'm your guy.
You're the guy.
Sure.
So, I get started and stopped on X a lot. Honestly, I think the most thing I actually do on X is reply to your stuff.
Thank you.
How do you, what do you have do you dedicate time to it every day or?
So in the morning I exercise and I try to post at least one thing a day.
Okay.
Sometimes I post much more than that. Sometimes I post one thing because I've got a full plate, And so I try to at least put out one thing. I've put out one thing for, I guess I'm almost at 5 years now, right? Yeah. And it's been awesome because I did it to learn to write better because I'm a hillbilly from Missouri and I don't write very well. And if you read my posts, I think that you'll find that I haven't improved much on that. And then but I also did it. I did it for my mentor, Jack, to help other people. Right. Yeah. And I did it because I think it's cool to meet people like you, man.
Yeah.
I live in this little place and I don't get to talk to, I don't get to go to lunch with real estate killers every day, you know, and just, so it's fun to do stuff like this. It gets me fired up.
Yeah. So, yeah. No, I probably take it for granted being in Dallas Fort Worth because there's so many great people to,
absolutely. Bounce ideas off of.
Yeah.
And not that there isn't great people where I live, but I can't go talk to somebody that's buying a Blackstone deal in my town. I mean, there's a few people, but they're few and far between.
Yeah.
and they're busy.
Right. So have you picked up deals off of X?
Yeah. I get that's it's funny. I get a lot of deals sent my way. I don't do a ton of deals, but I've done a handful of deals.
Yeah.
It's it's fun.
Yeah.
When you can do that.
Yeah, we've done. We will if we do this loan in Houston. If I'm assuming we're going to do it.
Yeah.
That'll be the second deal for our debt fund that we pulled off of X.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's
why not?
It's wild. Yeah. So and then out of the one deal that we have done for a developer off of there. We got a meeting next week in Miami based off of that with another developer that's a good buddy of his that has a huge pipeline. So it's,
sure.
It's pretty interesting. It's something I try to get focused on and try to put my thoughts together and put on there. And then I just get busy and forget. I want to be more disciplined about it. It's kind of like my theme this year to try to do more with it. But
I think, it's strange when, people will occasionally come up to me that I don't know and say, "Hey, saw you," know, and I follow you, and it's always it's very nice. But it puts you at a little bit of a disadvantage because they know you and you don't know them, right?
Yeah.
But there's also they see your stream of consciousness, and I'm pounding out those tweets as bad as they are, right? It's not there's no AI talking what I'm talking about. So, so it's what's nice about it is you can sometimes skip a relationship step or two because somebody has seen your stuff and kind of knows what you're talking about, and they know you pretty well. Now you still got to get to know them, but
it's back to know, like, and trust.
Yeah,
they have already established know, like, and trust with you.
Yeah,
where you didn't really have to talk to them or a level of that, right? But they reached out to you because they're like, "Oh man, I've seen you X amount of times do this on X, Twitter, and you seem like the guy for this,
I get that on occasion. Yeah. So, if you got a problem, reach out. If I can help you structure something, reach out. I can't get to everybody. It's sometimes overwhelming.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't have enough time in the day. And if I don't get to you, I'm sorry. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's, it's awesome. Gosh, it's so, not only that, but I get to learn stuff from other awesome people that I would have never learned or never met. That is really cool for me. So,
well, our fund attorney's off X. That's where I found him. Michael Husby, the investments lawyer.
Oh yeah.
We interviewed 3 attorneys here in Dallas.
Yeah.
To do our fund.
Yeah.
I walked out of every meeting just cross-eyed or pissed.
Right.
Yeah,
I've met Michael. He's pretty awesome.
And then I saw his YouTube channel and I was like, okay, I understand this now.
Yeah.
I was immediately emailed him. I was like, hey, I want to have a meeting with you. I'm starting a fund.
Yeah.
And
I can't hire Michael because I would never start a fund. but I do like Michael.
Yeah. They've been great to work with. Isabella works with them a lot of times because she does all of our all of our investor relations for all that stuff. And they've been really helpful. On the fund doc it's a bear. Compared to our subscription agreement for an industrial deal. But so what are you most excited about that you're working on this year so far?
I'm just excited. This is probably sacrosanct to say, but I'm just excited where the market is heading because I feel like I'm going to be able to buy stuff.
Yeah.
Very well again. But it's a roller coaster because when you can buy, you can't sell, and vice versa. So it's just how it is. But I like to buy.
Yeah. It's like you asked me earlier, what y'all sell Horizon? I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah. If you show up and pay a number, you might own it, you know, but like I have we have all these brokers call us now. I was like, do you want to sell? You want to sell this building? You want to sell this building? I'm like, I quit taking them. I can't. I'm like, I don't know. I have to. But what I did, because that kept hitting me so much, was we redid our whole asset management page.
Right.
And it's like, now I can, if someone calls me with a number, I just plug it in and it automatically calculates the waterfall to where it's at today. And I'm like, no, but I'll sell it for, this.
Right.
Because it was just,
it's too much.
It's too much.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. And then they're like, then you say maybe, right?
Don't say
and then
maybe.
when you say maybe,
then
so
it's
you're
like, saying there's a chance. Yeah.
So then they're just following up. I'm like, I remember I told a broker one day, he's like, hey man, I'm just following up to see if, we talk about, getting pricing on this to sell it. And I was like, I just told him, I said, man, you're about number 106 on my to-do list right now with that.
Yeah.
Like I can't get to it.
That's why I went to the local CBRE office and wrote Will's name and number on the bathroom stall.
Will sell.
Yeah. Will sell.
Will sell. Call him. So, well,
Will.
What's
no, kind of.
He'll that guy's on the phone all day long and just
oh, he's going to town. I like him.
Yeah, no, he's a hoot. It's so funny. When we moved in this office, he and I originally were going to take that office together, and I was like, about halfway through that decision, I go, "There's no way in hell I could share an office with him."
No,
he said, like, I share the wall with him.
Yeah, you need a second wall.
Yeah. He's good at it though, man. It's his job. That's what he does.
He is.
So, well, what's something about Casey Miracle that no one really knows? Or something unique about you?
What is something unique about me that nobody really knows? I won a state championship in high jump. There you go.
I love it when I pull this.
Weird.
Yeah. So high jump. Okay.
Yeah.
You won the state championship.
Yeah.
Did you end up doing it in college at all, or just?
I did, and that's where I learned to be humble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A whole different level of athlete.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed.
Yeah. White guys, jumping.
I remember thinking probably about my 6th or 7th practice in college. I went, I was a badass in high school. Everyone here was a badass in high school.
Yeah, everyone.
And more badass than me on most fronts. So it was getting in, that room.
But it was actually good for me.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You had to run faster real quick, or you had to figure it out real quick.
Yeah.
So well, man, I appreciate you coming in. This was really fun. It's just always great to like I said, when we have a problem we can't solve, we call you. So, and I actually want to show you this problem we really want to solve after this.
Okay,
so,
let's do it.
Again, thanks for, syncing this up time-wise and taking time out of your day to be down here, man. We really appreciate it.
Well, I had a ball.
Yeah.
So thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Casey.